and welcome back to today's video. We're chain arrowing again. So, as you saw hopefully my previous video, we were chain arrowing and we got we did a 10 acre field and then did, now I want to say quite half a 10 acre field. So, the plan is to come do the rest of that 10 acre field and then work his way along. There's about 7 fields here that one doing, and 3 at home that one doing. So I'm gonna crack on and do that. So it's nice in the day today as well. So hopefully I've got my drone with me. So hopefully we'll shoot that up at some point and get a bit of drone footage. Hopefully, if it all works out. But yeah, we'll crack on. We'll get where we're going. So that's where we're going up through this gate here and into that field there. so here we are with chain harrowing. So we've done a 10 acre field there, another 10 acre field there, and another 10 acre field there, and we're in a 10 acre field again here. So 4 10 acre fields. Hopefully I can get this one done before milking time tonight. But I'll just stop because I saw something here. Well, you can see that. Lump of wood. So that's a branch off something. Just chuck that on the wall side. Do see a few stones in this because this field had muck with a muck spreader rather than slurry. With a slurry tanker. So this is the problem basically. It's got to work harder in this field just purely because the lumps of muck are bigger. So that's the gist of the idea. But my brother did say when he muck spreaded this field, he saw a tin sheet come out of the muck spreader. So I think I can see it near the middle of the field. So I've got to watch out for that. But that's the sort of thing that you get coming out of a muck spreader if you're not careful. But that's one of the reasons with chain harrowing, to find any foreign objects. I'm just checking the arrows are alright, and they're alright. You might note, oh dear, that's not good. Just noticed there's a problem. I'll flip the camera around so you can see. That's the problem we've got. That should be straight down rather than at an angle, I think. Oh no, actually no, it should be at an angle because that's there. Well, let me so it should be at an angle like that, but we've lost the pin that goes in that, so that's never good. So, I mean, it'll be alright to do this field, but when I go home for the day, when I finish for the day, I'll have to remember that there's one missing out of that, and then I'll have to see if I've got one at home. Hopefully I have, fingers crossed. But we have got a link missing there on that bit, and one missing there for that bit. So we've got a couple of bits missing. So they're not missing as of today in a field that we're going to mow, which could be quite dangerous because it's a lump of metal and the mower hits it. This could be disastrous. But they were missing a year or two ago, so that's not the end of the world. They've been missing a while. So yeah. But anyway, that's not the end of the world. Bits do drop off chain arrows sometimes. The set of chain arrows I had before this, there were always bits dropping off them. But yeah, that's basically the workings of a chain arrow. So these are heavy duty set of chain arrows. The Ritchie, I've got it written somewhere. Where are we? There you are. Ritchie. So Ritchie are in Forfar, which is Scotland. And they make these chain arrows. They still make them now. So if you ever seen my video of Trailer, which is a self-loading bale trailer, that's the same make that make this. We also have a Ritchie R scraper as well at home. So basically it's a galvanised chain arrow, so muck doesn't rot it, which is very important. Well, it is in my opinion anyway, because muck, you don't want muck rotting metalwork. But this sits on the floor, this bar, along with the back and front bar as well, and any ruts or anything are on the ground, just levels them straight off. Molehills ploughs through them. So they are really good from that point of view. But the grass has to be really short for it to do its job. Longer grass, it's going to be doing more harm than good because you're going to hurt the grass that's growing. But there's no grass at the minute. It's the last day in March today. I think we won't want to leave it much later than this to do this. But yeah, that's the ins and outs on a chain on my set of chain arrows. Not all chain arrows are the same. That's just what these are. And you've got a hydraulic ram there that you pull the spool valve and it folds it up, which you're seeing, hopefully. But anyway, I best crack on and get some chain arrowing done. Right, so I found my 10 sheet that I lost. So what I'll just do is, I'll just put this under the wall side over here, near the water trough, and then I know where it is, and I'll come and fetch it when I've got 5 minutes. Put that there, and I'll come and fetch it when I've got time. When I'm next up here with a JCB in the bucket or in the Land Rover, I'll just put it in the back. There's also a bit of net here. I'll put that where it. Right, so we're on the next day of chain arrowing now, and that link's come off again, so I just need to put that back on before we go and make a start. So I'll just set the camera up and you can see me put it back on. There we are, it's back on again. It's just got this old electric fence post to put it back on. And then if you remember, yesterday we got a, what's it missing on that? Bit that one, there's one further up, it's up there. But I'm going to just steal this one because the link missing, so it needs a new link. It needs two there and one there. But if we just steal this thing for now, we'll be alright. Link put back on. So there is actually, there's one bit missing there, or there, and two links missing there. It's not the end of the world, because it's still fully functional, but yeah, it's just a bit annoying. So I'm just looking there in the bottom, that's the mop we're trying to break up with the chain arrows. So I'm not sure how well you can see me. Maybe if I stand this way, the sun that direction. But we're into different field now. This is the particular field that had the very thick slurry on. And well, this field and the other two at side of me did. and we're trying. Well, you can tell it was very thick on the way it's baked on the ground. So, well, you can see that looks stuck, and the grass is actually dying underneath. So the grass is dying actually underneath that, which is not what we want. To be totally honest, we are dire desperate for some rain right now. The amount of dust coming off these chain arrows while I'm chain arrowing, it's nearly too dry to be chain arrowing. But this needs ripping off because if the muck stays sat on the ground like it is, the grass underneath is going to die. We don't want that. So we're trying to lift it up, get it so it's not stuck to the grass, to the field, so it's loose like this, and it won't do any damage. And then when it rains, it'll dissolve and go in the ground, hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood. But we're not only doing that, that's not the only reason for chain arrowing this. There's a lot of moss in the bottom in this field, so I'm just seeing if I can find any. But I'm struggling to just find any. There is a lot of weeds, so there's lots of dandelions trying to grow. So we might have these fields sprayed, to be totally honest. But there isn't as much moss as there was. There's a bit here, it's ripped it up. Well, you can see that. So it's ripped it off. And that's what we're also trying to do. The chain arrows are managing to do it, which is very good, because we don't want that sat there, because that's also smothering the grass that could be growing underneath it. Why it's got so bad of a moss, I don't actually know. It could be because of the fact that you were short on lime. That could be a reason. But we're trying to rip that up anyway, and it is doing a very good job. Another bit there, it's ripped up. You see the lime still there. So let me get a little bit of lime there. There's still bits of lime, so it's not really rained much since we put the lime on, which is, when did we put the lime on? 5 weeks ago. So 5 weeks and the lime's still there. Which isn't good, because if we'd had a decent amount of rain, which we haven't, it would have rained and washed the lime into the soil, and yeah, we didn't put slurry on it for 4 weeks, because 3 weeks or 4 weeks we didn't put any slurry on this, purely because we were waiting for the lime to go in, and then we got to the stage where, you know, we can't wait any longer. We need to get lime on we need to get slurry on, because the slurry had come back in the grass when we're silaging. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to just finish this run now, and then I'm going to get back and milk some cows, and then we've got the rest of this field to do, and 2 fields over there. Hopefully tomorrow, if not the day after. We will see how we go on. I know we've got a load of straw coming tomorrow, so we might not get round to doing the rest of this. But hey ho, it's one of them. But we've done all the ground that we rent away from the farm now. We need to do this field and the other 2 desperately. They're the only other 3 fields that need doing desperately. The other fields around the farm aren't too bad, because they had slurry earlier in the winter when it rained, and it washed that slurry in. And there isn't any moss. I have noticed. I don't know why these fields are growing moss. It's a bit, you know. If anyone wants to enlighten me in the comments, they're more than welcome to. But yeah, they don't have as much. They don't seem to have moss growing on them, which is weird. So they don't really need doing. Maybe just when there's a few ruts, where we've made a few ruts when we were slurry carting and what have you. But they all had slurry earlier in the winter, and when we had the rain to wash it in. So we haven't got the problem like we have here, where it's baked onto the ground. So yeah, anyway, finish me run, I'll go milk some cows. so this is the following day after I last spoke to you. So look, got a bit of net wrapped around. Bit of net, bale net, got wrapped around the chain arrows. But yeah, the following day, so we've managed to do the rest of this 25-acre field. Wall. So yeah, we've done the rest of this 25-acre field. Quite a big field this. So this is our second biggest field on the farm actually. So we mow this for silage. We get 3 cuts a year off it. Yeah, we managed to do that. We did have a load of straw come today. My brother's sourcing that out at home, but he were all right when we carried on with my chain harrowing. So that's what we've done. But we're just having a look in the bottom, and you can actually see the lime still there. So all that there's lime. So these are the fields that had the lime spread on them.
Do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm
Well, he's ripping this moss out brilliantly, these arrows are. He's doing a good job, but there's still, like, that's actually, that slurry's caked in soil. It's alright, you know, it's better on the soil than it is stuck to the grass, but still it's not brilliant. But things are just so dry, it's just so dry. But yeah, it's doing a good job, these arrows. So a little bit about these arrows. The Ritchie, like I've said before, they can actually reverse the spikes on them. So these are big spikes pointing down. You can turn them upside down so they go down. Well, they're actually very sharp, they're quite sharp, they've worn down a bit. So they've worn down a bit, but you're supposed to have them that way around, I think, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, they're in good order. But they're very, I've had to put my hood up because it's so windy. I did actually bring my drone with me today, but because it's been so windy, can't shoot it up again, so we've got a problem. But they're very heavy duty, these arrows. They're very good at breaking the ground up, breaking any lumps of muck up, ripping any weeds out. So yeah, very well pleased with what they're doing, because all this muck here, they've ripped it all up, made a good job of it, which is what we want. Which is what we want. That's what we're trying to achieve. So when it does rain, the muck will break down a bit better, hopefully. But not only that, the slurry that we put on here isn't baked onto the field and burning it. You know, the grass underneath has got a chance to get going again. You know, it's not been suffocated by the muck, but you can see on the folded up bits how it's all shiny there. That's because it's cleaned it off running on the grass all the time. But they're good arrows, these, anyway. And these two levelling boards on the front, ever so good at levelling any ruts off. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to make a start on that field there. So we've got a 10-acre field and another 10-acre field left to do. And that should be it for now. The rest of our ground doesn't really need chain harrowing. It's only really them that have had slurry recently where it's burning on because we just haven't had any rain to wash it in. So that's going to be the next biggest problem. We've had no rain. But anyway, let's crack on. Right, so we're on to the following day now. And we're just going into our last field that really needs doing. So we've just done 10-acre field. driveways and a few ruts near round on the grounds around the farm, but apart from that, there's no need to do the whole fields over there. We're just doing these because, like I've explained before, the muck's sort of burnt on. They've had muck recently, we've just not had the rain to wash the muck in, so yeah. But get these folded out now. So they're folded out now, so I'm ready to do this field. So we'll crack up.
Shining like a beacon of bright stars. I was in a life for wandering far until I found the lighthouse, guiding me out the when I'm scared, I send a flare and you're here in a flash. When I ask, oh dear love, where did we come from? You say the light is on. I had the will and mission, but the wrong position. I was open, praying for a sign until I found a lighthouse in your heart, shining like a beacon of bright stars. I was alive for wandering far until I found the lighthouse, guiding me out the dark.
Right, so we're just on the last bit of this field. So, can you see the arrows behind me? There somewhere. Yeah, we just finished it off now. So, I think we've achieved what we wanted to achieve, where it's breaking up the muck that's stuck to the grass, which isn't good. We don't want that. Some of it is really stuck in the bottom, which isn't the end of the world, but it's obviously still stuck there. But the main issue is there's no rain in the weather forecast, and we've got all our fertiliser, unlike some people on my side who haven't had theirs yet, and we can't really put it on because there's no rain to put it on. So yeah, that is a problem we have at the minute. So that's a big problem. I mean, it's almost too dry for chain harrowing, really. But I think we're doing more good than harm, because there is some worry that grass gets too long and the grass, it will damage the grass, but there's no grass at the minute, well, very little grass. So yeah, please end at run. Just lift the harrows up at the end of the run, ready to go down again. But run his last little bit anyway. Right, so hello and welcome back. So we haven't started the end of the video yet, and that's because we're actually doing another field now nearer home. So this field we're in, I'll flip the camera around so you can see. So this field's had bedding muck back in January, December, January, and as you can see the muck's all still there. So we're just breaking that up as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot the drone up and you'll have a bit more drone footage of me train Harrowing. But surprisingly, I thought I'd just mention this. Not sure how well you can see that, but that's my fuel gauge and it's on a quarter full. So my fuel gauge is on a quarter full. So when I've done this field, I'll have done 130 acres on 3/4 of a tank of diesel. Which I think is pretty good, really. Say I've had five days of chain harrowing. I mean, it's not been non-stop chain harrowing. I've had other jobs to do in between, but it's 5 days since I hooked them up to the tractor and started doing stuff. I'm just thinking that's quite well, really. I've not filled it up with diesel once, apart from just before I started. So yeah, I think I've done pretty alright out of that. But anyway, I'll shoot the drone up now and you'll have some more drone footage to watch.
In the sky, sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through? In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for
into a business that you love. Maybe you love fashion.
So I'm going to call this the end of the video now. So we've done 150 acres altogether roughly. So I'll just show you what we're trying to do. I wasn't actually going to do these fields that I've just been doing, but because around the farm, and originally when I put the chain arrows on, I was only going to do 120 acres. But some of the fields around the farm, the muck's not gone in, and it's quite concerning really. So I'm just arrowing it just to see if it'll break it up. So you can see the muck sat on top of the surface. So the chain arrows have ripped the muck up out the bottom, put it on top, which is what we want because we don't want it stuck to the grass. The grass will grow through it now, whereas when it's stuck to the floor, it's stuck to the grass can't push up through it. So we're definitely doing more good than harm, because there's always a little bit of concern that the chain arrows are, if grass gets too long, it's damaging the grass, but it really isn't. It's not doing that much damage at all. It's doing more good than damage. But yeah, so we've done a pretty good job. We've done 150 acres on 1 tank of diesel, so that works out at what? 3/4 of a litre of diesel per acre? Not too bad really. 90 horsepower tractor and a 6 metre set of chain arrows. Just noticed that they've come off again. That's come off again. That's supposed to be hooked up there, so that's going to be another bar prizing job. But I've got about 20 acres left to do, but I think this video is long enough, so I'm going to call this the end of the video. So I don't want to bore you too much with chain arrows, so if you've liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe below, and I will see you in my next one. I'll see you, bye!